Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner, and we're on with another episode of Go Play Esports. You already know what the topics are. You already know what we discuss. You already know that we have a guest every episode. Nothing's going to change. This is what we do. This is what we do every week. Look forward to more and more content. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're able to reach out. Everybody's at home. Everybody wants to talk. So we're going to bring it to you more and more and more. We're going to pile it on. So let's get to the structure of things. Today, esports news, pro hockey players to partake in an NHL 20 esports competition. The NHL Player Gaming Challenge will feature nearly 50 NHL players. This is another good move. Mainly because traditional sports are not in play right now. Esports is winning. Gaming is winning right now. I'm learning that more and more, a lot of people are gaming more than what we actually thought. This is a great move for the NHL, the National Hockey League, and another good move for EA. I don't know, man. Everybody's winning on this thing, man, and seeing, esports and traditional sports merge together is a great look for the culture, man. And let's go ahead and just drop that bomb for the National Hockey League. So let's get down to business. Our guest today graduated from Oakwood University. Currently, he is completing his master's degree in sports administration at Georgia State University. Since completing his bachelor's degree, he has worked with various roles in technology, sports, entertainment industries with expertise in sports sponsorships, business development, brand partnerships, customer insight, and trends. Now he's combining his passion and talent to build and expand Cxmmunity. And we're going to get into what Cxmmunity is and what that's all about. But let's bring in the guest today, Ryan Johnson, founder and executive director for Cxmmunity. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey, appreciate it, Christmas. How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. I'm staying safe. I'm in here. I'm telling people all the time, Ryan. I'm in here Tupacing these podcasts, man. I'm just stocking them. I'm just grinding this thing out, man. Yeah, man. So how you been?
Hey, man. Honestly, staying positive, staying sane, staying safe, and most importantly, staying home. You feel me? Trying to really do the best that we can to pivot and adjust our business for what our new normal and our new reality has become. So it's definitely been, innovation is always a fun thing, especially when you kind of get to write the rules in a new industry like in esports. So, I've been blessed, man. My family's safe, I'm safe, so I have no real complaints there.
That's awesome, man. It's a blessing. And, I did a brief introduction, man. Could you tell the listening audience a little bit more in depth about your background, like how you became the director of Cxmmunity?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I heard you mention, so I actually graduated from Oakwood with a degree in physical therapy in May of 2015. And so shortly after, I actually got my first job. Although my degree was in physical therapy, my very, very first job was an outside sales role selling telecommunication solutions to different businesses in the Baltimore, Washington area, originally where I'm from. So what ended up happening was I worked there for about 5 months in Maryland, and the organization, which was called iCore, was acquired by Vonage Business. And through that acquisition, I was relocated 5 months right out of school down from Maryland to Atlanta, Georgia. So I stayed with Vonage for about another year, and then I actually transitioned into an IT consulting firm in 2016 that was also based here in Atlanta, and that's really where I started getting my feet wet. I started learning about all the different variations of business, but more importantly, how technology really empowers businesses to succeed and really empowers community to do the same thing. So I stayed with Adapter for about 2 years. So I was with them from 2016 until 2018. And at the tail end of 2018, I'll never forget, it was actually November 15th, 2018, I actually left corporate America full-time, and I returned to school, which is when I started my master's program at Georgia State University. And I'm actually, literally just got my email today that I'm transitioning out of Georgia State University, thankfully. And the last course I actually have to take is my internship, which would be virtual online this year. So very excited to finally, get that done. Because traditionally it's set up to be a 1.5-year program. But because initially I was working full-time and just working on some other projects, I ended up taking the year off of school. So I'm in there probably a year overdue, but, everyone has their time, and literally there's no rush to these, to these type of stories per se. So after I left Adapter, got into Georgia State, I actually got an internship with a company called Rise Ventures, and that company was very, very unique because that's what kind of brought me into the sports entertainment world. So Rise Ventures specifically was an investment or a venture fund that would invest into early-stage startup companies. And while I was working there, we made one of the first investments into an esports center here in Atlanta called Access Replay. And so through that investment is really when I got introduced to the world of esports on the professional side, or more so in business, and then the rest is kind of history. So I stayed with Rise Ventures for roughly a year, so that would be the end of 2018 until the middle of 2019, and then shortly at the end of my internship is when we made Cxmmunity. So Cxmmunity has officially been around on paper since September 24 of 2019. But I actually picked up another job working for an agency to kind of close out 2019, and I left that role in January of this year and have been working Cxmmunity ever since.
Awesome, man. And I want to, this is an esports gaming show, so I have to ask you before we get into all the details. I got more questions about how you got there, man. But I got to ask, what games are you playing right now? Are you a PC or console guy?
I'm a console guy. Ironically enough, my first system was a Sega Genesis. So Sega Genesis, the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and then right around my 7th and 8th grade year, I got a PC. So I was super big on Counter-Strike Source and Star Wars Battlefront. And that slowly phased out because I transitioned from PlayStation to Xbox, and Halo 3 took over my life, man. Literally took over my entire life. So currently, right now, I'm playing Battlefield 5, Modern Warfare, Warzone, and Rainbow Six. So first-person shooters.
Oh yeah.
My game choice.
That's my thing, man. We can get down on some Rainbow Six, man.
No, for sure. Are you on console?
I'm on console too. Yeah. And looking hard at PCs now, man, because we're gonna try to make that switch over from. We're gonna keep some consoles around, but we're trying to make a big switch to PCs at the school. So I'm looking at buying me probably a PC within the next month. But yeah, I'm a console guy, man, all day, every day. I want to get back to what you were stating about Rise and that whole ecosystem, man. I've been able to talk to Shark and a few others within your community, man. Can you talk about how is it to have an ecosystem and a support system around esports so you can be exposed and learn and be able to kind of reflect and make up your own game plan within your community?
Yeah, so, and again, right, a lot of it is very circumstantial and situational from the perspective of, I couldn't be doing what I am right now if I didn't live in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And so that's just one of the benefits of living not only in a major city, but a major city that's built its name around entertainment, specifically around music. And then with Georgia being so ahead of its time with their entertainment and film tax credits, the fact that we have every professional sport minus hockey, and then also you compare that and layer that on with the music industry, and then now esports, right? It creates a perfect storm to get really creative, have a lot of access to individuals that we see go viral on the internet, but more so, to your point, Chris, it allows you to have a support system around you. I'll be 100% honest with you. There weren't a lot of the people behind us or backing us or supporting us that we knew that we had. A lot of this would be extremely difficult. A lot of the doors that are being opened aren't being opened by myself. They're being opened by advisors. They're being opened by mentors or just pure peers or friends in the industry. So I would be like, it's just one of those unfortunate things where your location and geography actually does matter, but it's not to say that you're not able to tap in there remotely. So it's a long-winded way of answering this question, but, you know, being in a support system like this, like being in Atlanta specifically, is what allowed us to have the foresight to actually develop a program like Cxmmunity to then go out and combat some of the challenges that we've addressed and identified within the industry.
And, you know, I wanted you to lay that foundation, man, because what I wanted to cover next is, you know, actually what is Cxmmunity, like, you know, who you guys are, what's the mission. I know you have some key values, so I'm going to give you a minute to kind of go in depth about that.
Yeah, so our mission at Cxmmunity is to increase the participation of minorities within the esports and video game industry by strengthening their business management and STEM and STEAM skill sets. So the three areas that we primarily focus are community-driven events, helping other nonprofits with creative fundraising strategies, and then also education programs. So one of our board members, I know you've had the chance to talk with him, Chris, John Cash. He's actually the first professor in North America to get an accredited esports course taught at an HBCU, being Johnson Cxmmunity University, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. So when we looked at that as a whole, you know, it really presented itself an opportunity to, like, legitimately build out this foundation and ecosystem for people of color, right? Because as you look at the headlines, you look at the teams that are getting investment, the teams that are going viral and really participating in a lot of the pro leagues, representation is not one of the first things that you notice. But it is one of the first things that you notice when you're in those environments, and there could be a disconnect from what's in the room versus what you bring to the table. So we're very, very intentional about bringing these opportunities, identifying resources, and then bringing them to the forefront of individuals or institutions that cannot provide those for themselves.
Awesome, man. And going into more detail, what is the focal point? Like, what's on track right now for a Cxmmunity as far as you know, reaching out to those institutions or nonprofits, and what is like the 5-year trajectory for Cxmmunity?
Oh yeah, for sure. So as it stands right now, of course, with our business model originally being partnering with schools and universities and actually going on campuses, that's no longer possible, right? So where we see the opportunity is now is what we've identified is that COVID is, although it is a health pandemic, there's also an education pandemic going on simultaneously. When you consider the amount of students in North America, primarily being students of color, either African American or Hispanic, that do not have access to adequate laptops or Wi-Fi to continue their virtual and distance learning. So what's coming up for us is actually our first virtual esports fundraiser. It's going to be taking place next weekend, May 2nd and May 3rd. And throughout that duration of the weekend, the goal is to raise $3 million to support 6,000 to 8,000 students and procure them the devices and technology that they currently have access to. So that is a real big undertaking. So we've actually brought on JP Chase Morgan, the NFL alumni, and the United Way as our corporate sponsors for that event. And then we also have a slew of influencers that are going to be joining us on this live stream charity event as well. So for anyone listening, definitely would love for you all to tune in, contribute, help, and support. It will be live on, and actually Twitch also gave us homepage for the weekend, front page homepage for the weekend as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, it's going to be, we're absolutely excited. We got a verbal confirmation that we'll also be able to co-stream the event on Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud network. So now we're really just, yeah, man. So now we're really just plugging away and doing our best to fill the run of show and the programming that will be happening that weekend. But to answer the second half of your question around more like our 3, 4,